394 electoral votes she was predicting for Kamala. That obviously did not happen. Let's take a look.
What do you say, Nomiki?
Okay, so let's show my map. Can we do that? All right. I know you guys are like, you're
what?
Wait,
are you insane?
Let me explain.
Oh my God.
Hear me out. Okay, I've been predicting a landslide for at least 3 weeks now. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. All right. Okay. So first off, 2016, Donald Trump has a smaller coalition than 2020 and 2016. 2016 was his biggest.
So she justifies this, as you'll see, with some of the craziest liberal talking points you can basically come up with. But let's just take a very quick look at this. All the swing states, she has blue. She has the blue wall: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, blue; North Carolina, blue; Georgia, blue; Nevada, blue; Arizona, blue. But she also has a lot of other ones. Look at this: Texas, blue. And she also has Florida, blue. Those two states are very large, some of the largest in the country. That's a lot of electoral votes just there. And then in terms of the other ones, I don't know if she has any like other, maybe she has Iowa. Yeah, she has Iowa going blue. So she obviously bought into the Seltzer poll. Aside from that, I don't know if she has any other like completely out there calls, but just the totality of the map is obviously incredible.
His coalition. He had a lot more older voters at that time. Since then, it's been 8 years. Several older voters have unfortunately died. Also COVID deaths. So let's just.
So bringing up COVID deaths in an election map is full Trump derangement syndrome.
Start with age, right? She is doing far better than any other Democrat since 2000, as I've said before, with older voters. R plus 13 average, Republican plus 13 for those voters over 50, and she is winning with them, especially with women, but also with men. He is only doing well with one demographic, and that is young men under the age of 40 who are the least reliable voters. That's why he's doing the.
This certainly was not true following the election. Even before, though, it's not true that he was only doing well with young men. He was doing well with black men. He was doing well with Hispanics. He was doing well with a whole bunch of different groups.
Full podcast thing. It's why every Republican, mainstream Republican, is trying to get him to expand his coalition. He has a smaller coalition since 2020, since storming the Capitol, and we're seeing that in the exit polls already. People saying things like, yeah, I voted for him in 2020.
See, in the sound effect, she brought up COVID deaths for some reason in the context of the election. Now she's bringing up storming the Capitol.
But January 6th happened. She is doing exceedingly well, more than in the past, with young women women are the most reliable voters. And in exit polls in some states, she's doubling women to men in these early voting states. It is double the number of women voting for men.
You effectively think the poll.
Let me keep going. Okay. Also, polls skew older.
Let me keep going with this wildly inaccurate map.
The polls have been hyper-corrected, as we know, to reflect 2016 concerns. But they also skew older, and she is doing not just very well with older voters, but also with younger voters. The only demographic he's doing well with.
Yeah, but you just said a lot of voters have aged out, and that's disadvantage to Trump. So now you're saying it's good for Kamala that there's more older voters? Her points are all over the map here. No pun intended.
Is young men at this point. He took 2 weeks ago, he was getting a few points from African Americans. That's balanced out to 2020 levels. And then last but not least, a community I have worked for the last 8 years with very deeply, the Puerto Rican community and Latino vote. And I think what happened at Madison Square Garden is going to have a reverberating effect. In Pennsylvania alone, there are 450,000 Puerto Rican voters, 680,000 Latino voters, and right now it seems like she is really pulling them back into her favor. And I think it's all going to come down to Reading, Pennsylvania, where they closed out the election. I'm not saying it's going to be a landslide in some of these states, but
I mean, I agree with you. It's going to come down to Pennsylvania, and that she could win Pennsylvania.
That's the only part of her analysis which I kind of could see the logic in, that maybe that rally would sway some Puerto Ricans just based on some anecdotal stories like Nicky Jam taking back his Trump endorsement. But like she blows it totally out of proportion, as you'll see here, when she tries to bring that issue to Florida and Texas.
But that is my prediction. But you have her winning Texas and Florida?
yeah, Puerto Rican vote.
Okay, I will wear a White Dudes for Harris t-shirt on this show.
Texas was already
if
kind of
she wins Texas and Florida. There is no way on God's green earth. There's no way on God's green earth that's going to happen. That is insane.
The problem with Democrats.
The bet should have been he should have wore that White Dudes for Harris shirt for 4 years till the next election if she was going to win Texas and Florida. That would have been pigs flying in the sky type crazy.
And I got a lot
You
of
think the
problems.
polls are massively wrong in Trump's favor? That's what you're saying.
I'm not saying that they're biased. I think there's a lot of theories about that. I'm saying that they're massively wrong because we are dealing with a 2016, which was 8 years ago, and 2020, which was COVID, where everybody was mailing in their votes, and using off-cycle elections to model off of 2022, which also reflects what I'm saying in terms of coalitions shrinking, women, not just because of reproductive rights. She's obviously the first woman candidate. He speaks very disparagingly of women. But also Texas and Florida, the Democrats just pulled out of those states. I covered the DNC
because they know it's impossible to win them.
No. Well, no, because the model of Democratic Party at the time was very much like, we're not funding state parties anymore. That is a major problem that occurred.
She just totally disregards what he said.
Out of Barack Obama's presidency, they used to fund every single state party. That was the 50-state strategy. Howard Dean popularized that. And then they pulled out and they put them all into the DNC for the presidential election because there's more money there. They wanted to put all the money into ads. And as a result, when you don't have a state party, you're going to have a legislature taken over. Arizona became blue in 2006. I worked on that campaign. And then what happened? Barack Obama gets elected. They pull the funding from the state party, and he replaces the governor.
She's just knowledge dumping here for no reason, just sharing random knowledge that she has. It gets better in a second, but her point here is essentially meaningless.
Napolitano, and a Republican wins the governorship of Arizona. So we actually were blue in 2006. But when Democrats don't fund their parties, Republicans are going to win. So now we have an opportunity to invest in these states.
How after 20 the midterms, which were not as good for Republicans as expected, and that has affected how I draw my map here. But the bright spot for them was Florida. Ron DeSantis crushed it. It has been turned into such a red state.
Fight for 15, Planned Parenthood was on the ballot, and Democrats won with those issues.
No way on earth.
Nostradamus, Nostradamus, that's what you can call me. Nostradamus, Nostradamus, that's what you can call me.
Fox News can
I hope that gets clipped. Oh my goodness. She's the inverse of that.
project that former President Trump will win Texas. That
obviously
locks 40 more electoral votes into his column.
Nostradamus.
Yeah, that's Nomiki Stradamus. I got it.
Nostradamus.
All right, well, there you have it.
One more. Gotta say it. This is science. My astrologer, everyone, Twitter's astrologer, predicted this. She said that Kamala Harris was going to win. She's been doing very well.
Did you see that Mu Dang, the little...
I wonder if she's just like rage baiting with some of this stuff or she believes it.
Hippo?
Cute little hippo thing. They give a Trump cake and a Kamala cake, and he went and ate the Trump cake. So they're saying that is an omen predicting a Trump win.
Pygmy Hippo was given the choice between two fruitcakes, one cake carved with Donald Trump's name, the other Kamala Harris. In the video, Mudeng is seen eating the fruitcake with Mr. Trump's name.
Yum. Mostradamus.
Mostradamus has picked Donald Trump. There you go.
Those are our predictions there. Let us know in the comments or on social media if you probably think I'm wrong and that Nomiki is really wrong. Again, I'm not telling you what I want to happen or an endorsement. It's just my.
So you see, he had Kamala barely winning, losing. Just to quickly flex on them, here's my pre-election map. Again, to brag, a little bit of a humble brag / not that humble. This is my map. I had 6 of the 7 swing states going to Trump. I was only off by 1 state. So basically 49 out of 50 correct, not bad. I had Pennsylvania going blue, which obviously I ended up being quite wrong in that. Actually, it went pretty easily for Trump, but that's my map. We'll get back to them here.
My little guess could be wrong. If Trump wins, I will not be surprised. Maybe we'll know tomorrow. Maybe we won't. But we will be talking about it all tonight on the Hill special election coverage. And back here tomorrow. See you then.
I'm a little uneasy about it.
So now we get to watch them realize how wrong. I believe her name is Nomi. How wrong she was.
Even though my predictions are that she
Your
will have a
predictions were
landslide.
very confident. If we want to return to those from this morning, you said that you thought Kamala Harris was going to win Texas and Florida
by slight margins. I'm looking right now. Right now, we are still It's 54-45 in Florida, and we don't have all of our votes in. Some major cities haven't come in yet. I mean, that's what you wait for, is these major cities take longer to pull up their votes. Orlando has a large Puerto Rican population.
This is Cope City. That look he gave to the camera was pretty funny. That was like J.D. Vance in the debate looking at the clock or whatever.
We'll see if the Boricuas turn out for Kamala Harris in response to Donald Trump. Listen, it's still tight. I said Texas and Florida could be Democratic.
I will repeat.
It was never tight. From the minute the results started to come in, the betting markets for Trump were shifting dramatically in his favor. It was the only time it was kind of tight was right before the election. As soon as the results came in, it was just Trump doing better, and then he won.
The promise I made to you this morning, where if those two states go for Kamala Harris, I will wear a White Dudes for Harris t-shirt on Rising the next day. That's my promise.
I'll have it signed by the White Dudes for Harris.
Wonderful.
The guy's
Can't wait for that.
organizing.
Can't wait for that.
That Sky News is projecting that Donald Trump has won Florida.
With former chair of
I
the
mean, it's
Republican
done, right?
Party.
It's been called now for Trump, so
It is.
Your prediction is out the window. I will not have to wear
That's okay.
my White Dudes for Harris t-shirt on the show tomorrow. I was confident enough that I was not gonna have to do it. So far, the vibes I'm hearing from Trump people is that they're reasonably pleased. But of course, last election, we had the same situation where a lot of the early returns were favorable to Trump, and then they watched that lead evaporate as it went later and later into the night as you get, counting mail-in ballots from other places, that kind of thing. Then that it evens out, and that was the frustration watching that happen. We could be in for an exact repeat of that, but I know that many Republican commentators are feeling happy right now. The New York Times election dial is up and running, and right now it's pointed like, oop, this way, a little bit, in Trump's favor.
It's going to go back. It's going to go back. I mean, again, we're seeing these early states are generally more conservative states.
Yeah.
There's no big shockers here. I mean, I'm looking at North Carolina. That's the one I really am watching.
Welcome back to The Hill's live election night coverage. I'm Robbie Suave, host of Rising.
This is where she starts to realize just how incorrect she was.
And the situation, things are getting a little bit clearer, and Trump people have some definite, tangible reasons for optimism, with Georgia and North Carolina very likely being in the Trump column. They've both been called now by Decision Desk HQ. Other networks have not yet called them, but the New York Times has them as very likely Trump wins. So that would be a pickup for Trump in Georgia. That's a state that the Democrat Joe Biden won last time. Basically, what the state of the race is similar to what I said on our last appearance. Kamala Harris's creative alternative paths to winning this election are rapidly closing. We have basically already closed the door on the situation where she somehow marvelously outperforms the poll. The idea that Iowa, the things that were giving hopes, Ralston, Seltzer, the things that were giving hope, those are done. Those were not accurate. Iowa has been called for Trump. He's won there massively and decisively, as expected prior to that outlier poll, which we now know was not representing any hidden, unrealized Kamala Harris. She is not winning.
That Iowa poll could go down as one of the worst polls at the worst times in history. It was so incorrect at such a bizarre time. Kamala +3 in Iowa, that did not happen, not even close.
Landslide election, that's not happening. Now, she could still win because we haven't gone to the blue wall states, and if she holds on Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, she can still be the next president.
It's not going to happen.
But
So I don't know exactly the timing at this point, like what time, but I think if they're talking like this, at this moment, Trump was 85, 90 roughly in betting markets. I mean, when it was down to Kamala needing to sweep Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, things were looking very bleak for Kamala.
I were the Democrats, I'd be starting to get a little bit nervous. I was just listening to MSNBC. They're starting to get a little nervous based on the Oakland County and Michigan returns for Kamala Harris, which right now look closer to the Hillary numbers than the Joe Biden numbers, which would be doom. That would be the end.
It's like panicking. I was calling them up like crazy.
When MSNBC is visibly nervous, it's very, very negative because they would be trying to spin it any way they can. They have an attitude similar to, I believe her name is actually what I saw is Nomiki.
He's like, what is it going to take? Just get off your couch, please. Just do me a favor. Just one thing in life. Just vote for Kamala Harris.
But it's still up in the air. But I know there are going to be Democrats who are nervous because, again, the situation where she just surprised everyone, she proved the polls wrong, and there was this understated, unrealized, unrecognized wave for her. That ain't going to happen. And I'll be back on Rising tomorrow morning. Tune into that for analysis and the latest news. Thank you.
So that video was incredibly entertaining. When you're someone like this, Nomiki, her name is, I guess, if you go out on a limb like that, maybe you could say some of it was rage baity. It's hard to say if she fully believed, like with a lot of conviction in that take. But when you do that, you might be wrong and people might make videos like this about you on the internet. Very funny, made for a very entertaining video. With that said, I'll finish the video here, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.